Good evening, everyone. How are you? So I'm so happy that I finally got here. I Ubered, and I told the Uber that whatever you do when you're coming here, you should use the address.
Can we get your attention, please?
Oh, I need you in my life. So when you get into an Uber, you don't tell the Uber driver I'm going to the candy cane building. Because that's what I've been getting, right? I was like, where is this? Where is it? They go, it's the candy cane building. I was like, yeah. And so I then went and put the address in, what you're supposed to do. I put the address in, and then when he drove around, I was like, this can't be it. And they were like, yeah, this is 10 Columbus. I says, no, it's not a candy cane building. And in my brain, I had this building that was like this. That was, well, okay, it's a personal thing. But I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy that you all are here. I'm Floyd Green. I am on the board, but I'm also, as I mentioned during our ambassador meeting, I'm your liaison to the board. So it is my job to make sure that you're fully represented and that all voices in my head and in this room are present at board meetings. I call these people the townspeople. And, when we met at the library, we talked about engagement, or I talked about engagement, and how we wanted to make sure that we moved from corporators to ambassadors, that we wanted to be more than just a name and more than just you roaming the streets aimlessly saying that I support the library, but in a way that we could really unite and bring forth this force that's in this room, that we can mobilize it in a way that can continue to be advocates in our pursuit of making Hartford the number one library in the country, maybe in the world. But also in a way that we can spread literacy throughout our city. When we look at Hartford Public Schools and we look at school systems and the urban public school systems, our kids are not doing well. And we need to do what we can, I believe, we need to do what we can to make sure that our kids have the fundamentals of reading, writing, math, arts, science, etc., so that they can be better citizens in the world, but also make a contribution to our society and to this great city. So what better organization, what better group to do that than the ambassadors? I mean, you all represent every walk of life that exists in this city. It's so diverse, it's so incredible, and so influential. And we want to do at the Hartford Public Library Board, we want to do whatever we can to leverage the resources that are in this room and beyond. So welcome. We're so happy that you're here tonight. There's something about this ambassador meeting. Every time we meet, there's things or plan to meet, there are things that happen. Right, and we were at our meeting, and then we had the fire drill, and so we were all escorted out, and then we decided to have it last week, and then I don't know, the end of the world was coming, I guess, because of ice storms and stuff. So we had to move it to a much better day where there's a tremendous snowstorm coming today. But you made it out, so we thank you for that. Tonight is very important on two levels. The first level is one, we need to get together and socialize so that we can continue to think about who's on the board and how we can leverage relationships in this room. But more so about what's happening in the library, specifically the downtown library. And you all have read and have heard many of the things that Bridget and her team are going through to create a more sustainable library going forward and to undo some of the harshness that Mother Nature and the pipes did to sort of slow our progress. So tonight is really about understanding what happened and to give you all the information that you need so that you can be informed ambassadors, so that people come to you and ask you, so what's going on in the library? You don't go, I don't know. That you really do have the tools and the information in order to make informed decisions, but also to articulate what it is that we're hoping to accomplish going further. So we will hear from Bridget, and then we're also going to ask, in the spirit of engagement, that you ask questions. All those burning questions and desires that you have and been wanting to know, Bridget has all the answers. and if Bridget doesn't have them, David has it. If David doesn't have it, then Tyrone has it. But clearly, I'm just here. But no, it's for you to be engaged and to ask questions that you might have. I want to give a shout out, before I turn to Bridget, I want to give a shout out to all of March birthdays, because mine is March 5th, and today is March 1st. So who else is March? March. God kind of broke the mold. And then any January, February birthdays? Yeah, I know, yeah, okay, that's great. And then all the rest of you who have birthdays after, may you continue to celebrate ours. With that, Bridget.
Well, now I'll remember that Floyd really likes his birthday. So now I will know that from now on. And I want to give a shout out to our friends at Forge City Works because we're so happy they're here. We're back. I feel like we're like back together again with our catering partners. So like Floyd said, I'm here to give you almost like the behind the scenes. I can't really bring you behind the scenes, unfortunately, because of the work that's going on at the building, but I want to show where we are and talk about some of our other projects too, to let you know that we're not stopping the other work that the library is doing. But one of the things that's as Floyd mentioned, to have you, our key stakeholders, understand what's going on is really important because people drive by the library and they're like, it doesn't look like anything's wrong. Even if you walk up to the door, it might look like, oh, maybe they're just redoing the furniture or something. How could it be that bad? So I want to give you a little bit of a background of what's been going on, where we are, and where we're going. So, Christmas weekend. 7 coils in separate rooftop HVAC units failed. They cracked, and you can kind of see that right up there. That's one of the cracked ones. 7 of those cracked, and it was a funny weather thing. It was really, really, really warm and wet and rainy, and then all of a sudden the temperature dropped precipitously and there was freezing. And the theory is that some of the vents that opened to provide the fresh air intake for those HVAC penthouses on our roof froze open, letting in that really, really, really cold air and freezing those coils. So the damaged HVAC coils released torrents of water, and we were closed. It happened, we think, overnight on the evening of the 24th, and we were 23rd. We were closed on the 24th, and it was by the kind of grace of higher powers that somebody walked up to the front door, noticed there was water in the building, and called 911, and the fire department responded because we would have otherwise never known. But there was literally water flowing down as a river down the stairwells all throughout the building, all 4 floors of the library. And while most of the collections were spared, thankfully, the water pooled on floors that damaged ceilings, fixtures, seeped through the walls, down the elevator shafts, through the ducts, the mechanical units, all of our furniture and equipment. So we've engaged Down Construction to help oversee the cleanup. We had ServPro come right away and do the initial drying out. But Downs is helping us with the remediation, the subcontractor coordination, the environmentals, and they've been working with our insurance representatives as well. We are insured by Travelers, so that is a good thing. They have been very good to work with. Thank you, Travelers. And we've also had a tremendous amount of support from the City of Hartford. Their risk management and Department of Public Works staff have been fabulous to work with. So as you've read, I'm sure you've read what we've put out, we do anticipate that insurance will be able to cover, a good portion of the damage that we saw sustained. But there are going to be gaps in what is covered, without a doubt, because some of the things that we are doing to make sure that we get the good service and we're doing the work appropriately may or may not be covered. So right now we don't have an exact number for what that delta is, but we do know that there will be one. So our community, as soon as this happened, started reaching out to us saying, what can we do? And I'll talk about our partners that have come through with help. But we also had a lot of generous donors, and we have launched the Restore and Renew campaign, which has so far raised about $47,000. So very, very generous community. Thank you to anybody in the room that has done that, as well as a number of other people. Those donated funds will be used to the things that we're anticipating, transitioning services. So some of the relocation of services have incurred costs. Relocating collections, digitization and storage of items, and costs associated with the building management and project management costs. So the other thing that this does is it does provide us with an opportunity. as you'll see as I go through some of the images here, you can see this is our first floor underwater. Pretty much the entire first floor public service area was compromised, and it has to be completely, gutted as far as the carpets and fixtures and walls. But it gives us an opportunity to rethink what that space looks like and how it's used. So we're not going to miss an opportunity to take this and say, what was working well, what needs to be better, where do we need to relocate services? And if you remember when you walked in the library, where the collections were, that was not impacted. However, the floor that was there is an older floor. So if we're going to replace this floor, we want to make sure we replace the other. So those are the kinds of examples where insurance probably won't cover that replacement of floor, but we need to do it. So there are going to be those kinds of things that are happening. So this is what I get asked a lot. How bad is it? It's pretty bad. So that background is the current state of the first floor of the library. I show you these not because I want you to look at floor plans, although those architecture people in the room might want to, but to show you kind of order of magnitude. So starting from the ground floor, any of the sections that are in the red, those were impacted areas. This is the ground floor. This is where Yukon is. So as you can see, this main area, this is the atrium, this is Main Street, this is the atrium area. All of these areas were impacted. This is our special collection storage, not touched. This is the digital library lab, not touched, thank goodness. Moving to the main area, the main floor, this is the cafe. All of this area was impacted. This is the second floor. All of this area was impacted. And then this is the third floor, which sustained the most damage. And then all of this area is impacted. So, I think these are my videos. That's the sound that welcomed me when I showed up on Saturday morning. It was raining in the library. My video skills are not great, I'm sorry. I'll just play this one, it's a little bit of a different view. So you kind of get an idea of what it was like, and that the fire department was still there when we showed up. They attempted to try and cover up the computers, but they had already been completely soaked by the time the tarps went on. So this is the first floor. Again, a lot of standing water. This is the second floor. This is the Hartford History Center. The Hartford History Center was ground zero, so this space right up here is where the water initially came through. This is my colleague Maureen's desk, so it got the initial onslaught of water. And this is where we are now. The work has been slow but steady, pulling out ceiling tiles, pulling out carpet, cutting out drywall. But as you can imagine, all of that space that you saw, every single floor, that's a lot of work and a lot of people power to make that happen. So that's why it's taking a while. And we're still not quite finished with the demolition. In fact, one major piece left is the Romare Beardens, which are those wonderful pieces of art that we have. They're enormous. They are still hanging on the wall. However, we have a specialized company coming to take them off the wall, build cradles for them to store them safely while the remediation work takes place around them, because the ceiling above the one that's in the atrium, that is very seriously damaged. So we have to just take away all that whole ceiling material, but the artwork thankfully will be protected so that that work can commence. So these are the two big questions. How long is it going to take, and how much? So I don't have very satisfactory answers for either one of them yet, but every day we make progress. So how long? I am hopeful, and I think this is a realistic and manageable hope, is that Yukon, which is on the ground floor, because that ground floor saw the least amount of damage, will be up and running by the fall. So that we're anticipating that they would be able to bring back classes to have there in the fall, and that we would be able to use the atrium space. Hopefully, we will also be able to use the classroom spaces and the CCC. Fingers crossed. That would be by the fall. That's a maybe. The remainder of the library we're anticipating will be early 2024, so about a year from now. How much? Well, that is another really, really good question, and I wish I had an answer, and that Mary and I ask that every day. I'll give you some scale, is that we just completed a partial inventory of our damaged furniture and equipment, and that totals about 1.15 million, and that does not include the Hartford History Center or several other staff offices, and it doesn't include the Yukon damage. So if, we're just talking initial estimates of probably about $2 million, and that doesn't include any of the costs for the demolition or the reconstruction. So it'll be many millions of dollars. For example, our ServPro invoice was over $400,000. So this is not an inexpensive cleanup. Part of that cost was also because it was Christmas weekend. It was a holiday weekend, very hard to get people, and you have to pay a premium for that. So as we proceed, that will be something we keep updated, because it's an important number to know. And as I said, we are negotiating really well with the insurance company. They have a number of adjusters that have kept coming through. We have environmental people to make sure everybody's safe. So that's what's going on at the library. So where did everything and everyone go?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Didn't you guys build that library with the security alarm that when there's water in the building that it will go off and let your alarm system know there is the water going on in your building?
Like a moisture sensor?
Yeah.
We thought we had a moisture sensor system with our building management system. It does not appear that was in there, or if it wasn't functioning. The other thing we're not sure of is, why that didn't trigger some alarm from because of the amount of water that was suddenly coming through the library. So the insurance company is still doing some forensic investigations of where the points of failure were to make sure that that's not going to happen again. And we've already started scoping replacement building management systems to make sure that we've got the appropriate sensors for water and moisture, particularly in the Hartford History Center. We did have a moisture indicator in the History Center, but it wasn't tied to an alarm. So we can see when it spiked. That's how we know it. We think it started the evening of the 23rd, because the moisture sensor in the History Center spiked. Terry.
I heard that the main stairway is going to have to be rebuilt.
Yes.
I mean, it was that bad.
It was that bad. That was a river coming down the main stairwell.
Wow.
You can correct maybe this misinformation that I heard also, that the mechanicals that caused this problem were the old mechanicals to the old building, and that the new mechanicals are on the addition of the building, and they didn't fail?
That is not my understanding. There were multiple points of failure in multiple units. The unit that was the one above the Hartford History Center was a unit that was put in there during the renovation 12, 15 years ago, so not a super old unit. So whether or not there were some older ones that failed, that could be, but there were 7 HVAC units that had cracked coils. So, but any of those will be replaced, which is a good thing. Again, that's, you look for the silver linings, is that we will be able to get updated equipment as well as management systems. So where is everybody? Well, there's some people at the Old State House. Thank you, Sally. There are people at Capital Community College, West Middle, Center Church, City Hall. I was just overwhelmed by the generosity of our community and our partners in the community. We also had offers from MDC. We had offers from the Wadsworth, from Bushnell. It was incredible, the outpouring of support that came in to us for relocating our services. So this is where we have relocated services so far, and our library branches are open additional hours and days of the week to accommodate not only their colleagues, but also additional hours and services for the community. So what else is new? We have other things going on too before this happened. And that is also a question I get a lot, is like, oh, does this mean everything else is on hold? And it doesn't. We are just plugging along with the other projects because they're too important to put on hold. So this is one that has been in the works for actually a number of years, Ropkins. We have scheduled to reopen Ropkins next week as a soft opening, and it is reopening as a library, obviously a traditional library, but also as an annex for the Hartford History Center. So what's wonderful is you are getting, this is the first preview of what Ropkins looks like. So there you go. You get the extra special preview. New furniture, new carpeting, new shelving, a new restored children's area, new blinds. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how excited I am about the blinds because the old ones were so awful. But they're lovely now. And new seating areas, new computers. And this is, we're really excited about this. We got these, collapsible shelves. And this holds the collection of the full run of the print editions of the Hartford Courant, which we're really super excited about. It may be one of the only full collections that still exists. We also have the Hartford Times and the Hartford Advocate. Sand School, sorry. Sand School, yes. And we have these wonderful displays so that our Hartford History Center staff can show off the cool stuff that we have. And the other wonderful thing about reopening Ropkins is that we've got our technical services staff there, which are the people that process our materials and do our cataloging. They've been relocated there. We have the Hartford History Center staff working there. I feel like we have other people there too. Anything else going on over there? Seems like we put a lot at Ropkins.
Russell was there.
Okay, yeah. So we're just like, yeah, go work at Ropkins. Sure.
In the library world, what's the traditional need for a redoing of library spaces? Is there like a mattress lasts 20 years? How long does a library last? Is there some sort of...
It's usually around 20 to 25 years, but most libraries are not lucky enough to be able to do it that often. And this one is long overdue. It was not, I think was probably at least 30, if not more than that. It was looking kind of tired. So now it is fabulous, and I can't wait for you all to go see it. Barber Street. Barber Street, when we did our capital project plan, I want to say it was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, the number one priority of the library for capital projects was Barber Street, was building a brand new library in that community to replace the storefront. The storefront is only 2,000 square feet. It is tiny. The staff that's in there does an incredible job. You would never know that they only had 2,000 square feet to work in, considering the amount of programming that they do. So we have been working on the Barber Street project for a very long time, and we are pretty well along with designs for a new, approximately 15,000 square foot library. As you probably know, we've been negotiating with Community Solutions and Swift Factory for the last year or so. We've not finalized our terms, but we are moving forward with the planning for this very, very important library. And the city has already allocated funds for it, so we've got money, we've got plans, so we are moving forward and continue to prioritize that number one. The expanded library will include more computers, a much larger children's area, teen space, a big community room, a library of things, a food pantry, study areas, and also what I'm calling the North End Next Gen, which is an education, training, and career development center. So we will do the workforce readiness, services, technology, skill training, tutoring, and other services in conjunction with the partners that we already have in the library, but also with community partners in that area. So we're super excited about that project and moving it forward. The little blip here, though, is that as things happen, about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we got a notice that the HVAC system there failed. There was no heating, and there were concerns about, safety in that space. So we've closed that branch temporarily. We're originally told it would be 30 weeks before we could get a replacement, but thankfully the landlord has been really great working with us, and they've located one, so I'm thinking it's going to be installed next week if all goes well. But we'll keep you posted. So we have the mobile library now, and they're doing their food pantry outreach, but it's just outside. So go Irene and the Barber team. They are incredible.
So the Barber Street Library is going to become in the Swift building?
We've been negotiating with the Swift
Okay.
building. Yep.
And if that all goes successfully, when's that going to open?
That is a great question, Terry. You got to ask the hard ones, don't you? Well, I mean, our original plans is that we would have been open now, but it's taken a really long time to get where we need to be with terms. We're hopeful we get it done as soon as possible. It won't be. I will say it won't be as long as Park took.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I promise. I promise it won't take as long as Park took.
Once you have the space, how long do you anticipate the actual building taking?
The building itself should only take about a year and a half, but that depends again where the location is. Where we're currently focused, that would be about a year. If it's a different location, it might be a little longer. But since we already have at least the plans that we know what we want and where we want it, the program's done. We've already done a lot of community engagement, which we will continue to do. But the building part of it, I won't say that's the easy part, it's certainly not, but at least once we get the building professionals on, they're pretty good about setting a schedule and getting to it. This is the hard part, is getting there. So I just, again, not that, think you want to look at floor plans, but this is conceptually what we have right now. So this would be the second floor, the Next Gen Training Center with classrooms and study rooms and computer labs. And this is the main floor, the meeting room, excuse me, children's area, the food pantry, and just a really wonderful layout of things, library of things. So we have any other big plans? I think we do. Oh, that's kind of cool, right? Super conceptual. Super conceptual. We did this as part of a grant application, but who knows what library this is?
Albany.
Yay, thank you.
Northwest Jones.
This is the Northwest Jones School. The city has pledged to give that to the library so that we can create a larger Albany branch library. And this is just a concept of how we might connect the two buildings. Again, this is super conceptual, again, just to kind of space mass and to be able to apply for some grant funding. But we're really excited about this. This project is moving forward. We hope to be issuing RFPs for design professionals within the next couple of weeks. And the city has already got contracts that we're looking to have implemented to do the remediation and stabilization of this building. So this project is moving forward. That's pretty exciting. Yes?
Has the community been engaged in?
Not yet. Not yet. So that's why I say this is conceptual, because once we talk to the community and do the kind of community engagement that we did at Swift, we want to hear what they want and what it should look like and what it should feel like. And, we have some ideas of what we think should be in there, but we're going to be doing some much more detailed community engagement. We've had a number of conversations. I want to say probably about 15 to 20 individual conversations with people in the neighborhood about that, just kind of one-on-one conversations. But we will be doing a much more formal community engagement process for this project.
I think what's also pretty exciting is that it could potentially be an arts community, like an arts corridor
Yes.
in that area, and really attract world-renowned artists, but just with the economic development for that area,
Yeah.
just having it be a literary center for the world, just I think incredible.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
It's going to be incredible. And Charmaine, part of the RFP, yeah. Yeah, so part of the RFP is to have the team that we engage to be working with us on the community engagement. So we don't get to the design piece until there's a lot of conversations about, what people would like to see in that space. So what other things are going on? So we have a lot of other irons in the fire as far as programmatic offerings. And this is just a few. So Digital Library Lab, I know a number of you have supported the Digital Library Lab. We've been doing a lot with that. In the pipeline, we've got several jobs in the queue, but our Digital Library Lab manager, over the last few months, we worked on the citywide art project that was actually funded by the Hartford Foundation of Public Giving. So there are scanned images that are in bus stops. That was work of the DLL. We digitized 140 Hartford Public High School yearbooks. We did a 1650 era map for the Guilford Historical Society and Guilford Library. We digitized, scanned, and shredded 7 years of documents for a private LLC. We have been working with the Yukon Advanced Pavement Lab to do prints and slides, digitization for them. And then, as I said, there's several jobs in the queue. So that is actually generating revenue in addition to all the work that they're doing for us, for our local collections. HPL Studios is a new initiative. It hasn't moved as forward as quickly as I would have liked because there have been some other things in the that have come up. But the vision for HPL Studios is a production and teaching studio where we actually do the sound, video, film, editing, production, marketing, the whole 9 yards for content that we produce, but also could produce for other entities, and also as an internship and training program. So we're working with CT Public and UConn Hartford on an internship program for students, but we're also partnering with Hartford Public Access TV. They are looking to potentially relocate and co-locate with us in our new location. So again, when we do the design plans for the renewed first and second floor at the downtown library, incorporating HPA TV and using them as a partner as well as a resource for students is really part of the vision there. Thoughts or Things came out of HPL Studios. Chris Brown is working also on 250 Stories of Power. We've been doing podcasting trainings. So we've already started doing some things. The Beat has come out of that HPL Studios team. This is a recording for musical and spoken word artists to come together to be able to publish their works and sell their works, which is fabulous. We're working on a 250th anniversary celebration, which David has been active in, and which is a wonderful thing. You say 250 years. Well, it was 1774 when the original library company was established, and that is our founding institution. So yeah, 250 years that Hartford has had a library entity. So we're really looking forward to celebrating that. We're going to be launching a new logo and brand design and have a year-long program, events, and celebration, and a renovated library to open. Who knew? We're also looking at doing more with UConn Downtown Hartford. There's a new library director. Her name is Karen Tatarka, and she's fabulous. Mark Overmeyer Velasquez, who's also on our board and on the foundation board, is working to pull together a concept called CoLab with the public as well as with students. So we're super excited about that as well. And that, I think, is all in addition to the other really fabulous, wonderful things we do every single day. In the American Place, and Home is here with us today with Youth and Family Services. We've expanded Leap into Learning recently to go to more home daycares, which is fabulous, and that's an initiative funded by a private philanthropy. Boundless keeps going, which is fabulous. That's our relationship with Hartford Public Schools. UMedia continues at Albany Library. That's kind of ground, where everybody's working out for UMedia. Fabulous collections, and of course the Hartford History Center. So stuff goes on, right? Even though we have been challenged by not being in our home base, we have found a way to make all of this work and keep going for the community because we know how much they rely on us, and the team that is working at the library is so committed to the community and to making sure that they have access to these fabulous resources. So that's it. I have a lot more images of downtown. If you want to see them, I will show them, but I'm happy to take questions.
How are the materials in the Hartford History Center affected?
Thankfully, you would think with the History Center being ground zero that we would have seen a lot of damage. The way that the History Center materials are stored is the bulk of them are in the ground floor in a storage area. On the third floor, we do have collections. We did have collections up there and some ready reference materials. Thankfully, the way they were stored was on shelves behind glass and above, in the perimeter of the room, and also above the floor, at least maybe about, a foot. So those materials were not impacted at all, which is incredible. We did have some materials that were in, display drawers that were wet that we were able to dry out, and other materials that got wet but were not, I wouldn't say we're not unique or sensitive materials that either can't be replaced or that we didn't have duplicate copies of. So it really was incredibly fortuitous that we didn't lose more of our special collections. We did see a lot of the equipment that was in there damaged. But we have brand new sculpture that's in there too. That is a beautiful sculpture that was commemorating the suffrage. That's fine. I mean, it got a little bit wet, but Marilyn Parkinson Hall came and looked at it, and it's fine. Actually, the bust of it is in Jill's office, so we get to say hi to her every day. And the other sculptures that were in there were also fine. So it was kind of a miracle that more was not damaged. More that is irreplaceable was not damaged.
Is there any chance that two things could happen out of all of this? It's going to sound kind of foolish, but how the glass and the windows is clouding up? That drives me nuts. I don't know about the rest of the people, but
Yeah.
Is there any chance that could be fixed in all of this? And also, will the kitchen cafe ever reopen? Because I really miss that.
Good questions. I like both those questions. If Mary T was here, she would want to come give you a hug because those failed windows are the bane of her existence. She can't stand those. Well, it actually turns out that there was water that came down through that curtain wall. So we are trying really hard to have that be part of the scope. And if not, we're also getting a quote for what it would be to replace that because those windows have been bad for a long time. And they leak. They leak, and there's also they think there might be some mold in there. So we do need to remediate it one way or the other. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to afford to do that. So.
Can I just ask one other thing, and then I'll shut up?
Well, I'll answer the cafe question for you too.
Back to Northwest Jones and the Albany branch, right next door is the Artist Collective.
Yeah.
And I think Floyd mentioned a whole art corridor. And I know you've been in discussion, at least, initially with Dolly McLean and others. What are the chances of some collaboration happening there that would really make that area spectacular?
Yeah, we would love that. The idea of that being a campus is one that I think anybody I talk to, particularly from that community, thinks it would be a fabulous idea. So the Artist Collective is hosting us for our final jazz concert, which we're really excited about. So I think we're building that relationship to hopefully be able to do more together. And I know the city has also been working with the Artist Collective, and that is I think their vision is to see that realized and to see us do more together. I mean, they've got a beautiful auditorium, so us building a new auditorium, if we can perhaps have some kind of a sharing agreement, so it's not duplicated and we see some benefit to perhaps using that, I would, welcome that opportunity to work more closely with them.
Great.
And as far as the cafe, yes, we do want to open the cafe again. In fact, Ben was over last week. And they've got a lot on their plate too, so they're not ready to commit, but they're definitely interested. We've had other people that have expressed interest. What we're thinking is, as we redesign that, thinking what worked, what didn't work, how do we need to tweak it to make it a better functioning cafe. And then the sound mitigation in there, because the art walk as well as the cafe, the noise modification is very challenging, so we'll address that. And we may take a section of that cafe, depending on how the designs come together, and that's where we may think about putting HBL Studios so that it's got that storefront kind of view in and out. But those are just a couple ideas so far that have been tossed around. But yes, we do envision bringing the cafe back.
Can you make sure that the third floor still smells like bacon?
Oh, absolutely. That is a requirement for City Forge. Cook bacon.
Every time you went over there, you're like, oh, so good.
Like, oh, they must want us to go buy sandwiches. They're cooking bacon.
I
They're cooking
think
bacon.
I think that place could be a great breakfast place with, lunch and breakfast,
Yep.
and it could be better publicized so people can get in at an early time. Again, we don't have a lot of walk footage downtown, but
Yeah.
it could be more, useful if we have it open for a breakfast place.
Yep.
I guess you guys would love to go there
You
and have
bet.
some great pastry
That's what we're looking
and
for.
coffee, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and UConn is interested in having more food options for the students too. So we've been talking to them about, making sure that whoever comes in is working with UConn to develop the menus that would be good for the students. And we're also thinking maybe a coffee cart down in that Arch Street entrance. So, when students are coming or they're rushing to class, they can pick up something right before they go to class. And, we've got an option there too, or for when we do Sunday Jazz. So, Chief.
City Hall has a vault in the city clerk's office, 6 stories deep.
Mm.
At one time, the late city clerk, Dan Carey, and the late Bill Fowler worked very hard at removing those records from that area. Does the library have possession of those records?
We have a lot of the city archive, yes. There is still some that's on the top floor of City Hall as well. I don't know what's left in the underground archive, but we do have a very considerable, collection of the city archive that is in the safe space in our ground level. So yes, we do have that. I don't think we have it all, but we also work with the current city clerk, town and city clerk we're in discussions about how to use the digital library lab for record keeping for different collections so that we've got at least, the digital backup of some of those records. We've also been in conversations with the Department of Developmental Services to digitize a lot of their records. So there's a tremendous opportunity for us to work together with the city to ensure that those documents, whether or not we want them to be physically safe, but we also want them accessible. So we've got a lot of conversations going on with them.
I wanted to go back to the Albany branch for a minute.
Sure.
Because I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that space.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cultural hub.
Yes.
Not just the Artist Collective, but you have Scott's Jamaican Bakery,
Yep.
you have MLK School back there, you have Keeney Park, and the numerous other restaurants in that neighborhood.
Yep.
And I was recently in the Park Street Library for the first time. And I saw how it was incorporated with the history of the neighborhood folk and what Frog Hollow brought.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to reach out to the community in the beginning, not
Yes.
later on, but soon,
Yep.
so they can actually participate in formulating what this space ought to look like.
Absolutely.
And honoring the people who were the pioneers in that neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is foundational to the work. And as I said, that's why I kept saying that's conceptual. And that was really just so that we could apply for some grant funding.
Got it.
But when we go out with the RFP for the design, part of it will also be having somebody that is experienced with community engagement and making sure that we are, getting the feedback from the community, because this is their library, right? So
And they have a very strong NRZ up there.
yes, yes. And so in a similar way, so Anwar had been working with us for the Barber Library project to help with kind of on-the-ground community engagement. We also envision, hopefully if he'll do it, he's not here, but I put him on the spot, but to help us also help coordinate that and be a liaison with the library and the community and the design professionals as well. And we have a fabulous branch director there, Deirdre Brickhouse, who was really eager to, help in the community engagement too for the new design. So fabulous staff over there. All right. I think that's it for me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I don't know, I've got the townspeople singing "Ain't No Stopping Us Now" going in my head. I can't get them to stop.
You gotta work
that.
on those voices in your head.
So, I think what's so important, hopefully you'll leave here really feeling proud. But also proud of the fact that you're a part of a movement. A very powerful movement. It's not just about literacy and literary brilliance and genius and all the stuff that we harness in the space of literary and art, but also about economic development. That the library is a stimulus for economic development in the city. And how powerful is that? I mean, we are an anchor of economic development. When folks go out and try to attract businesses and other entities that come to Hartford, talk about the Hartford Public Library as one of the reasons why. When people are looking to move to the city, they talk about the Hartford Public Library throughout all of Greater Hartford and all the work that's being done. You are a part of that. You are our ambassadors. You are the people who are going to help us in the North End get the right people at the table to make sure that that building is relevant and reflects the community in which it will serve. How powerful is that? Again, if you have questions, we have board members here. Board members, would you please stand? Would you just stand, board members? Right. I mean, if you have questions, please ask the board members. Staff of the Hartford Public Library, could you please stand? I mean, these are the folks who are in the trenches making it happen. And then ambassadors, would you please stand? That's right. Look around, because you are our army. You are infrastructure. You are our people who are on the streets, in the boardrooms, getting it done. So on behalf of the Hartford Public Library, the board, the staff, and everyone else affiliated with you, thank you for coming. Hopefully it was informative, and we look forward to gathering again, maybe on a warmer kind of day. Thanks again.
Gilda wants to remind you.
Yes,
Yes.
Take the card.
It's got beautiful artists, artwork artists, one's of the Hartford Public Library, the other one is
And then also, if you notice, you are now getting specific emails from us to the ambassadors, and that has a lot to do with my partner in this process, Gilda, and we are determined to make sure that you stay engaged and informed and excited about being a part of this movement.